Hello, Christina Simmons with the Catholic Leadership Puzzle here. And today I am bringing it all together. We've been talking for actually over a year about the different puzzle pieces that make up the Catholic Leadership Puzzle. And today we're talking about the 12th piece, a community of communities. Now, you might be saying to yourself, how is that even possible? A community is just a community, but the fact is that if you put all of these pieces together that we've been speaking of, then what'll happen is that there's going to be multiple communities all united within a larger community. Take the analogy of the church, the universal church. You have the body of Christ, the church, and then you have communities or parishes as they are known, and they are all united together within the one church. In the same way, within our parish community, we have communities that should be a part of comprising the bigger, larger community. And this can only happen, though, if we have all of these pieces of the puzzle present. Because if we don't, then what happens is that then our community, and we've seen it, it becomes divisive. It becomes a place of where there's discouragement, of where there's misunderstandings, of where there's politics going on because people are jockeying for resources. But the fact is that if we're intentional about having all the pieces of the puzzle together, then we will have this community of communities. So what I want to do is I want to highlight very briefly the 12 pieces and then how it all comes together. So the first piece that we talked about was the reality of the evangelization cycle. This is one of the fundamental pillars upon which we are building. The second is holistic formation. What does that give us? If the evangelization cycle is understood and is present, and this is our why, this is what we are all about, is we're all looking towards how are we evangelizing, how are we sharing the good news, how are we helping people encounter Jesus, then what happens is that individually each person is living out their missionary call to be a disciple. And then as a community, there's the powerful vision and focus as to what we are supposed to be about. Our identity is clear and we are on that path. Holistic formation is the process through which individuals are continuously growing and being formed. And this is, seen in individuals living out a formal or an informal plan or rule of life individually. Within the community, there are going to always be particular events, activities that are going on that are addressing the human, the spiritual, the intellectual, and the pastoral needs that are present within the community. And this supports the holistic care of all the individuals within the community. So we have these two pillars, the evangelization cycle and holistic formation. With that, it's then connected by the third piece, which is to seek best practices. This is where we have a growth mindset, especially as individuals, of where we are continuously seeking what is best, what is the best way to do something, how is it that I can become my best, how can I become who God created me to be. And in the midst of that, the community is practicing proactive stewardship. They too are looking to become its best self. There's an intentional use of time and talent and treasure within the community. And because everyone is focused upon the vision, upon the mission of evangelization, there isn't this jockeying and thinking that there's a lack of resources because we are all relying upon the Lord. We know that He will provide and He will provide abundantly. So this tension is lessened within a community that is seeking best practices. It's seeking to become its best self. The fourth puzzle piece is interpersonal relationship. Many times people put this together as it's a small group. But the fact is that interpersonal relationship is where we, on a personal level, individually, are growing in our own self-knowledge in a holistic way. So we're continuously, again, growing and being formed on our journey. And the community puts the preeminent value of the person at the center and is directing all interactions and activities. And this is a recognition of the fact that Christ is present in each person. So this puzzle piece is so vitally important, especially in our very divisive society of where we see the other, even though we might disagree with how we get from point A to point B, or what activity we should be doing or event, or it doesn't matter. We still see the person before us as Christ, as another Christ. So therefore, this can only happen when we're in relationship with them, when we recognize Christ, and when we have enough self-knowledge of ourselves to know, how is it that we're going to trip ourselves up? How is it that I might interact with someone in which is going to go badly? And so I'm able to, grow in virtue, and I'm able to counter those negatives that I have because of my own personality or my own temperament, etc. This is where the fifth puzzle piece comes into play, and that's communication. It is vital that we as individuals try to be as clear and concise and as direct with others as possible in a loving and merciful manner. So we don't go around and tell people off. We don't go around, and tell people all of their problems or what, how it is that they've messed up, or, the faults that they have. Rather, we are, as an individual, we are speaking clearly, concisely, and directly with love and mercy. We're speaking the truth that God has entrusted to us to share as part of the larger community, and it's totally rooted in our sense of purpose. So us knowing who we are, our identity in Christ, and being able to direct that towards then the community, and the community has collective knowledge and understanding of its mission and its needs. So therefore, there aren't these misunderstandings about what it is that we're using money for, or how it is that we're going to be spending time as a community, or what are the opportunities for people to be able to grow in relationship or to minister. There's none of that confusion. Rather, it's clearly, concisely, and directly laid out with love and with mercy. And communication is that one of those ties that helps us stay, focused on evangelization and holistic formation, along with seeking best practices and interpersonal relationship. From there, we now are building. We now have this foundation, this interconnected web. We now can build upon that. And this is where relationship-based ministry comes. Again, I misspoke earlier. This is where small groups, most people think all relationship-based ministry is small groups, but it doesn't necessarily mean that you're involved in a Bible study or you're involved in a small group faith-sharing group. Small groups is about a small group of friends in which you go out and are involved in ministry. As individuals, we're experiencing peace and unity, not perfect, but for the most part in our daily life, because we're actively involved with a small group of friends in our daily life, in our daily interactions. Within the community, we're modeling the Master, we're modeling Jesus by going deep with a few, so that fosters that ripple effect in which a few can then do the same within the community. So what this means, very simply, is that by being involved with a small group of people, be it my family, extended family, or a ministry group, or any small group of friends. However we come together, we are focused upon growing in sanctity together, and we are focused upon helping the community in which we are serving do the same. Relationship-based ministry means that we each know one another's name. We each are aware of our call to holiness, and we are each accompanying one another. We are there in the good times or there in the bad times. This is what relationship-based ministry is about. It's not just about being a part of a small group. It's about having relationships within the community that you are intentional about, and where you are sharing life, breaking bread, sharing life with one another. That's the sixth puzzle piece. The seventh is now getting into more practicalities, in which these are best practices for our ministries, for our groups, of where in our community, of where we are practicing strategic planning. As individuals, we are looking at our lives and we are prioritizing why we are going about doing the things, being who we are, and why are we doing these things, so that we can experience abundance in daily life. This is our why. We are, and it's not just to experience it here, but to prepare ourselves to experience it in eternity. This is why we need to grow in holiness. This is why we need to be about evangelization, because the entire evangelization cycle, remember, isn't just about sharing the good news. It's also about sharing the good news, accompanying others, and continuing to walk with others so that they can then do the same. So when we are doing strategic planning, it's about, as individuals, looking at why are we doing what we are doing? How are we creating an environment in which we can experience abundance in our daily life? And then within the community, it is about the efficient utilization of all resources, be them time, talent, treasure. This is happening within all levels of the community. So regardless of whether or not it is a pizza party for youth, for the youth, or a work camp for families, we are looking at why are we doing these things? Is it in alignment with our purpose and mission? Is this what we are to be doing to help us be worshiping, evangelizing, and serving better? Is this going to help us do that as a community? And that is why we spend time, talent, and resources on it, because you can't focus on everything. When you try to be everything for everyone, you end up being nothing for no one. So this is why strategic planning is so important, because you can't do everything. Again, this is where prayerful discernment is so important, and prayerful discernment is a part of all of what we do. So the eighth puzzle piece is time management. This is tied in, to strategic planning. You've got the big things, the why, and you are ordering yourself towards that why. And then time management helps us as individuals to be able to use practices like time blocking and habit stacking to create conditions for us to experience as individuals optimal performance. But within the community, it's about first things first. And first things first prioritization becomes evident when we're doing good strategic planning and time management. First things first, it is a priority. It happens naturally in events, activities, and ministries, because we all understand, because we have been holistically formed. We understand the evangelization cycle. We're seeking best practices. We're in relationship with one another. We communicate with one another. We are intentional about building relationships in the community, and we are intentional about a small group. And then we are strategically planning and using time management in order to give God the glory, to put Him first. and to do those things so that our community is reflective of giving God all the glory and praise. The ninth puzzle piece, and it ties, again, it's tying these things all together, is coaching and accompaniment. Coaching and accompaniment, you might think, okay, why is this a separate puzzle piece? Is because we could be evangelizing, we could be about holistic formation, we could be doing these things, but we have to be intentional about coaching and accompaniment. This is where discernment of individual gifts, charisms come into practice, and it's where then individuals discern, what are my unique gifts? Where is it that I can best unlock the gifts of others? So that you have people who are saying, can I be a godparent? Can I be a sponsor? Can I be a mentor, a coach? Can I serve as a catechist? Can I be trained as a spiritual director to serve in this capacity? Etc., etc. Also, in the community, the idea of cura personalis, which is the idea of the person, being the guiding force, care of the person, cura personalis, guides all interactions within the community. This is coaching and accompaniment at its best. We need to be intentional about it in order to be able to bring it to fruition. The 10th piece is assessment. Assessment is a vital aspect of all that we do. Assessment is needed so that we can know where we are and what needs to be done in order to continue to grow and to get better. We do this through quarterly self-assessments as individuals, also through our own continuous learning, which holistic formation is all about, seeking best practices, that growth mindset. As a community, we are looking to use metrics as well as integrated learning and assessments. They're a normal part of community event and activity. It's part of the life cycle. We're constantly doing a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and challenges. What is it that we need to be doing or have done? And is this still serving us as a community? Is this still in alignment with what it is that we are desiring to do? And is it in alignment with what God is calling our community to do, but especially to be? So assessment is necessary in order to get there. The 11th piece is where it all comes together, of where these things are integrated and you experience a synergistic and creative collaboration that is happening as a result of this integration. So it's not just this, artificial integration and working, but rather is synergistic. And this is because we are in relationship with one another. This is because we can communicate well, clearly, and concisely and directly with one another. This is because we're using strategic planning, time management, because we are invested in one another. We coach one another. We are accompanying each other. We're doing assessments together so that together we're able to then, as individuals, unleash the creativity and opportunities that are in alignment with the unique gifts and talents of each individual person in the community. And as a community, there is a complete alignment of the community's vision, purpose, and mission. This is what happens when we have integration that is synergistic and creative and collaborative. This is a community of communities. In a community of communities, individuals are known by name, they are inspired, encouraged, and they're accompanied to become who God created them to be, which is living, breathing, wonder-working saints. Are we all saints now? No, but we are to inspire and encourage and accompany one another to become that. This is our call individually. Within the community, what is present is holistic formation, is the essential fabric of community life, and that is being lived out by each and every person. When we are living that out, and it's all focused upon the evangelization cycle, then what we do is that we have a community of communities. So each person has a place to call home within the community because of their relationship-based ministry, because they have that small group of friends that they are intentionally involved with. What differentiates a community, though? A community of communities, what differentiates it? What is it? Love. In a community of communities, love is what is different. A community of communities has a culture of love, not fear. It's a place where we're not alone, but rather we're all one. One L of a difference. Thanks, Chet Scott. It's where we don't settle for what is within reach, but rather we push the envelope and find our true potential to be our best, both individually and collectively. As individuals, we're striving to become living, breathing, wonder-working saints. And collectively, we are striving as a community to save souls, make saints, and transform the world around us. Not because of our best practices or human accomplishment, but by being open to God's grace and in union with Him who is love. For love is the answer in the end, but we have to do our part too. We need people on fire with love who are willing to set fire to the boats of their complacency, selfishness, and fear, and instead launch out into the deep in new boats of magnanimity, service, and courage, boats crafted by the master craftsman himself. In this way, each of the baptized can help bring about a revival of authentic worship, evangelization, and service that's rooted in the only one that matters, and not only experience purpose, peace, and abundance in their individual lives, but also help provide a glimpse of what the real world can be when it has been crafted in the image and likeness of its creator. The possibilities are endless. This is because our God is a God of possibilities. We just need to say yes and do our part to the best of our abilities, and then trust God to do the rest. So we rest in Him and we let Him transform ourselves and our communities into the more beautiful and amazing pictures of love than we can ever imagine. The time has come. It is possible. So say yes to the invitation that God is doing in your community. He's doing in your heart right now in order to help you save souls and make saints and transform the world. Say yes to holiness. Say yes to the way of mission. Say yes to love. God bless.